Today we're going to talk about the 10 signs that your ex may still love you. Now, when I started planning this video out, I knew that I wanted to include signs that weren't often talked about, often overlooked. And pretty much everyone out there who films videos like this gives you bare minimum information. But what I wanted to do was give you real life examples. And we've been blessed with hundreds of different success stories that have come through our program, and each time we talk to these success stories, we learn something new about the signs that your ex may still love you. So each one of the signs that we're going to be talking about today is taken directly from someone who has successfully won their ex back. Let's just jump right into it. Sign number 1, your ex will find ridiculous reasons to text you. All right, so we're gonna actually put all of the rules that we teach aside for a moment and just strictly focus on signs. I don't care when this happens, but ultimately we have found that exes who text you for ridiculous reasons have feelings for you still. Now, what constitutes a ridiculous reason? Probably one of the most ridiculous reasons that I've ever seen happened in our private Facebook support group when her ex texted her about a birthday gift that he got for his dog. So, if your ex texts you about a birthday gift that they got for their dog, that's a ridiculous reason and usually a sign that they're just trying to start a conversation because they may still have feelings for you. Sign number 2, your ex will start to invest more time into you. Now, most of the time, figuring out if your ex still loves you or still has feelings for you on some level is not as cut and dry as reason number 1, where they text you some ridiculous thing just to talk to you. Sometimes you have to look at the long game. And what I mean by that is simply looking at how often they're spending time either talking to you, hanging out with you in person, texting you, talking to you. Though I already said that, you get the point. The more time and energy your ex spends and invests into you, the more they tend to value you. And we only tend to love things that we value. Sign number 3, your ex may reach out to your family and friends. We actually see this a lot during the no contact rule. You know, that rule that you're supposed to implement to ignore your ex for a period of time. Well, oftentimes when you're using a no contact rule on your ex begins to freak out after they think that you're ignoring them, or they start to even worry about maybe losing you forever, and they will reach out to your friends and family to see if they have heard from you. But sometimes this goes a separate level. If you'll notice, and usually your friends and family are very happy to tell you if your ex reached out to them. The important thing to do here is to literally act nonchalant about it, because usually what happens is even if you trust that friend and even if you trust that family member, if you are overly excited about the fact that your ex reached out to your friends and family to ask about you, well, that family member or that friend will go right back to your ex to tell them exactly how you reacted to that information, because people just love to stir the pot and they love drama. So if you act nonchalant, almost like, oh, cool, and then that's it, that's the correct way to handle that situation. Sign number 4, your ex may start to buy you gifts. Before I started ex-boyfriend recovery, I was in college. And I sat next to a girl. And the girl who I sat next to, we basically became friends. And she was the reason that I ended up starting ex-boyfriend recovery, because she suddenly moved away. She met someone. She thought she was going to spend her entire life with this guy. And then the guy broke up with her. And the next day she found out she was pregnant. But what's interesting is I'll never forget when I started ex-boyfriend recovery, it was simply an attempt to hold my notes for helping her. And I remember some of the things that she did to try to win her ex back. Her ex was an avid guitar player. So she actually literally went out and bought her ex this $500 guitar. She bought the ex the guitar, she gave it to him, and guess what? He didn't really care much about it. Now, I tell you that story not to discourage you, but to help you understand the state of mind for someone who ends up buying you a gift. If you are sitting there and your ex buys you a gift, it is a very good sign that they're interested in you or have feelings for you still. They are literally putting their money where their thoughts are. Sign number 5, your ex will act jealous. Okay, so your history with your ex will tell you how jealous they're going to get. Sometimes jealousy is a really hard thing to pinpoint because some exes you don't think are jealous, but they're really good at internalizing it. Other exes are not. They are just freakish about how they will let the world know how wrong that you have treated them and all sorts of stuff like that. We tend to approach jealousy from a brevity standpoint. In other words, less is more. You'll see one of the reasons that we don't like direct jealousy is because we think jealousy tends to be more effective when you give your ex enough rope for them to picture and kind of hang themselves, so to speak. So probably one of the best stories I have to illustrate jealousy is actually one of my first coaching clients. I'll never forget, we were on the phone, we were talking, and she told me this story about how she took my advice. She went on a date with someone new, and she posted a picture of the date, but she didn't want to post a picture of the actual date. She wanted to post a picture of the food she got at this date, at this really nice restaurant. And just so she snapped the photo, put it up on Instagram or Facebook, but her date's arm happened to be in the picture. And her ex, who she was trying to get back, saw this on Instagram and Facebook and commented on that photo, "Oh, so you've moved on already." That's a good sign that your ex is thinking a lot about you. So the more jealous they get, the more they tend to care, but we're not looking for extreme jealousy. We're looking for a little more than average jealousy. Extreme jealousy is volatile. It's not very good, but a little bit more than average jealousy is right where we want them. Hey there, real quick before we get you back to your video, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, well, please do that. It really does help. It helps keep our video editors paid. It helps us keep doing these high quality videos. And it's really 5 seconds out of your day to click one little button. So if you could, please just click the subscribe button. No harm, no foul if you're not interested, but we figured we'd try. All right, let's get you back to your video. Sign number 6, your ex will exhibit unconscious signs of interest. So what are unconscious signs of interest? Well, it's going to be types of things that your ex is going to do that they're not aware of, but you can be aware of. So common examples include if your ex leans towards you, they're attracted to you. Inversely, leaning away from someone shows repulsion. If your ex blushes a lot when you talk to them or you talk about stories of the past, good sign. If they mirror you, so this is basically when your ex begins to mirror your body language and behaviors. If your ex is constantly smiling when you're out on a date, all good signs. Now I want to sort of dive deep into the mirroring thing because this is something that I think people don't believe exists, but it does and it is important. So what is mirroring? Well, once again, pulling from personal experience, I remember when I was in college, I was sitting in a class and there was a girl that sat right next to me, and this girl was gorgeous. I literally thought to myself, I need to find a way to ask this girl on a date, but in the middle of class while the professor's lecturing, it's not gonna be going so well if I'm like, hey, what's your number? I kind of was a coward and didn't do anything. So as the weeks go on, we're sitting next to each other, no one says a word, but I began to notice that anytime I'm leaning forward, she leans forward. And I thought to myself, oh, that's kind of interesting. So I leaned back and waited, and I kind of out of my corner of my eye was watching her. Sure enough, she leaned back. And then I kind of put my arms sort of like this for a little bit, sort of stretched and came back down. And then maybe a minute goes by and she does the exact same thing. I was learning about breakups at the time. I was not as tenured as I am now, but here was the point. I realized, holy goodness, she's mirroring me. She likes me. And of course, at that point, it gave me enough confidence to ask her out on a date. So if you notice your ex is doing the exact same thing with their body language, very good sign. Sign number 7, your ex slips up and uses pet names from the past. Pet names, that's when you basically call your ex babe or honey or hun or baby or naughty stinker. I don't know. Everyone's got weird different nicknames. One of my best friends in high school, when he got his girlfriend, he would call her Brat. And it was like this weird, I definitely think it was weird, but it's this weird term of endearment for his girlfriend. And his girlfriend actually weirdly liked it. And he would always smile and go like, oh, you're such a cute brat. So if your ex and you have these pet names that you used to call each other in the relationship and you're just sort of talking and your ex calls you babe or honey or something like that, it's a good, and it's also kind of a connection to that unconscious sign that we were talking about. But it's a good sign that your ex may still be harboring feelings for you. Sign number 8, nostalgic reverie in interactions with you. So what is nostalgic reverie? Simply put, nostalgic reverie is when you have an extreme wave of nostalgia about something that happened in the past. This can be triggered by just simply seeing a location and thinking, wow, do you remember when we did that? Or hearing a song brings you back to the moment you first heard the song. Those are all forms of nostalgia. Well, if your ex is having nostalgic reverie, what you'll notice is you'll be out with them and then they'll bring up a remembering the good times type moment. Do you remember when we walked on that beach? Or do you remember when we went to that concert? Remember how good that was? If they're doing things like that, it's a great sign that they're having nostalgic reverie within, and they may still be harboring feelings for you. Sign number 9, they watch every one of your Instagram stories. All right, so this is something we see quite often in our private Facebook support group, which is we'll get people commenting, what does it mean when my ex watches all of my Instagram stories but doesn't comment or doesn't say anything about them? And what it means or says to me is that your ex is having a really hard time letting go and they're paying attention to every little thing that you're doing. So I wouldn't say that this alone means that your ex is going to fall madly back in love with you and come beg for you back. Oftentimes what you're going to find about this list is you can have 3 or 4 of the things on the list that your ex may still love you or harbor feelings for you, but it's not enough to push them over the edge for a commitment. So here's the way I would look at this. It is a good sign if your ex is watching your Instagram stories and not hiding the fact that they're watching the Instagram stories. It's a good sign that they're constantly thinking about you, that they're worried about what you're up to, or at least curious about what you're up to. But it's not going to be enough to push them over and get a commitment. In fact, none of the things that we're talking about here will. You have to do a little bit more to create sort of this interdependence aspect in order to create that commitment. But nevertheless, if they're watching your Instagram stories, guess what? It's a good sign. Sign number 10, your ex sends a spy to check up on you. A spy is usually their very best friend. My first breakup ever, I'll never forget. It was almost like inherently I understood the no contact rule. But it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna use a no contact rule to make my ex miss me. It was more sort of petty. It was more, I'm not gonna contact her until she contacts me first. But what was interesting is after maybe 3 weeks of the breakup where no one had talked to each other, I hadn't talked to her, she hadn't talked to me, out of the blue, I hear from her very best friend, who I'm more than happy to vent to like an idiot. And of course, all of what I said to this person went back to my ex. And it didn't really work in my favor, so to speak, but here's the point. If your ex is sending spies, their best friends, their family members to check up on you, and usually the spy is gonna say, oh no, we're friends outside of what happened with your ex. I'm just worried for your well-being. Don't think your friend is above lying to your face and telling everything that you said to her about your ex to the ex. They're not above that. But here's the point. It is a good sign because oftentimes your ex is ordering that friend, hey, go check up on them. Now, like I said, if you're in a situation where you are seeing these signs with your ex, you think your ex may still be in love with you, but you really don't know how to make them commit to you, my best recommendation for you is to actually hop by our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, and take our starting quiz. It's called the Ex Recovery Chances Quiz. It's basically the starting point that everyone new to the program should start out with because they'll get an idea of what their chances are of getting their ex back and then next steps in their specific situation. So if you're interested in taking that quiz, all you have to do is simply look in the description link below this YouTube video and click the link you see there. It will take you directly to the quiz. Also, if you didn't hear earlier in the video, I've sort of said like, hey, we really are trying to get more subscribers to our YouTube channel because it's something that we're not really doing a good job at because I'm not really good at asking for things, but I'm gonna try. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel and you like what's going on here, you find value in what we're saying and want to learn more just about the psychology of exes during breakups, please hit that subscribe button below and hit the bell notification so that you can get updated anytime we put out a new video or respond to one of your comments. I'll see you next time.